Okay, and we are picking up where we left off last week. We've docked with the Paragus mining asteroid base and find ourselves in this Kolto tank. I'm going to be quiet and let the cutscenes play out typically, so here we go. And here we go. I believe I mentioned it last month, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be playing this game as if, just kind of straight role-playing. So as if I was the character and I'm making the decisions as I would make them myself. Not necessarily adhering to pure light or pure dark, or just kind of doing what I think is right. Partially what that means is I'm going to fiddle around with controls and stuff like the lab station right there. I'm going to be spending a lot of time in that, and for the benefit of you all, fast forwarding through it so you don't have to watch me spend 15 minutes of a video trying to figure out what thing I want to make. I'm going to play all the logs, and you can, just skip through them if you want.
Still examining the survivors of the damaged freighter. Looks like it goes by the name of the Ebon Hawk. Only one survivor, placed in the Kolto tank for recovery. The carbon scoring on the vessel suggests it was in a battle, but no indication of who fired on it. Couldn't get much from the Nava computer. I'm surprised the ship was able to make it inside the Paragus asteroid field without the asteroid drift charts. Aside from the lone survivor, we recovered an old woman. No life signs. There was also a protocol droid and a utility droid on board. Sent both down to maintenance while security sorts through the other items on the ship. It looks like the utility droid, a T3 unit, was able to get the ship working enough to get to the colony. We're prepared to... Could be a Jedi, but we won't know for sure until we get the transmission back from the Republic. If the survivor is a Jedi, that would account for the recovery rate. But I'm more concerned that a Jedi here may cause trouble. Some of the miners, especially KOTOR, are already Another accident today. A detonation in the ventilation tunnels. If the lockdown measures hadn't activated, the whole facility would have been destroyed. Got most of the injured to the Kolto tanks in time, but the rest had to go to the morgue. One of the wounded said a droid caused the accident, but we couldn't get any specifics. Miners about the Jedi. A number of the droids have been acting oddly, and not even memory wipes seem to be fixing the problem. There was a detonation in another one of the fuel vents the droids were working in. We deactivated several of them, and moved them down to maintenance. But we're still treating the plasma burns. That cuts us down to almost half shifts, and with the droids malfunctioning, we may not make the Telos shipment for this month. Fortunately, the detonation didn't cause a lockdown.
Warning. There has been a fuel detonation in the mining tunnels. Emergency lockdown commencing. All personnel report to quarters and prepare for emergency venting countermeasures.
No! If the ventilation systems are malfunctioning, evacuate the medical bay. Everyone evacuate.
So I'm going to, although I talk very quickly, I am going to be taking the game kind of slowly. This whole game, for me at least in the way I play it, is generally a slow burn. You want to take your time, you want to really enjoy the lore and everything that's behind it, and I'm going to be talking about that partially. I'm going to be going over all these little bitty details because it gives me something to talk about, but also because I genuinely like it, and it's been a while since I really took the time to be slow about and enjoy the game. So all the logs, you can see that when I got in, or when the character got in, I should say, the miners were kind of split on what they wanted to do about me, and some of them wanted to hand me in for a bounty, and some of them didn't. And this shows that everyone in those Kolto tanks that we were just looking at earlier is dead, except for me. And the last treatment request resulted in, right. The dose of sedatives is administered to all tanks, including number 3. So whoever administered the sedatives seemed to want to kill me, but just failed. So, good for me. Medical logs. Right, okay. Log it out. Oh no, there's one more thing. See, I'm going to be doing this same thing right here all the time where I want to do something and then I forget and just don't do it. Where here I was supposed to unlock the door to the morgue because that allows me to progress the game, basically. Old woman looks dead, but there's no sign of what killed her. Yeah. And now we introduce ourselves to one of my favorite characters in gaming history.
Find what you're looking for amongst the dead.
I thought you were dead.
Close to death. Yes, closer than I'd like. You have the smell of the KOTOR tank about you. How do you feel?
A little disoriented. Was it your voice I heard in the KOTOR tank?
Yes, I had hoped as much. I slept here too long and could not awaken. It may be I reached out unconsciously, and your mind must have been a willing one. Or perhaps you have been trained for such things.
So you can touch minds and feign death. Who are you?
I am Kreia, and I am your rescuer, as you are mine. Tell me, do you recall what happened?
The last thing I remember, I was on board a Republic ship, the Harbinger. What happened to it?
Your ship was attacked. You were the only survivor. A result of your Jedi training, no doubt.
I'm no longer a member of the Jedi
Your
Order.
stance, your walk, tells me you are a Jedi. Your walk is heavy. You carry something that weighs you down.
The Jedi Order and I have a troubled history.
So it would seem. Keep your past and let us focus on the now.
Alright. What's going on? How do we get out of here?
I do not know. I was removed from the events of the world as I slept. A survey of the surroundings may provide the answers we seek. The ship we arrived in, the Ebon Hawk, must still be in this place. We should recover it and leave.
Care to explain why you're in such a hurry?
We were attacked once, and I fear our attackers will not give up the hunt so easily. Without transport, weapons, and information, they will find us easy prey indeed.
Are you sure there's nothing else you can tell me about this place?
Even as I slept, I felt much unrest here. I saw strange visions, minds colored with fear. Now, everything here feels terribly silent. A last word of caution. I would find out as much as you can about this place quickly. I fear we will need to depart as suddenly as we arrived.
We'll see. There's got to be someone out left alive around here.
You may wish to extend your search to some clothes, if only for proper first impressions.
The miners in the medbay were killed by a lethal dose of sedatives. Any idea how it happened?
I do not know. Why did they spare you?
They didn't. I got the same dose but survived.
Indeed, a Jedi trance could protect one from such poisons. In fact, the sedatives may have been intended to keep you unconscious for some time. It would prove lethal to those untrained in such techniques, however. Most curious.
You seem to know a lot about Jedi
And
techniques.
so do you. Perhaps we could discuss it at length later on. Now we have other concerns, among them finding our new enemy.
I'll return soon to make sure you're alright.
I leave you to the explorations of this place. Here I will remain and attempt to center myself.
So, what I just did there, in that quick conversation that I had with Kreia where I was reading the dialogue, was not necessarily something that I had planned in advance, where I read what I'm going to say as I'm saying it. That was just something that I decided to do at the last minute, to make it a little more interactive with myself. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing that from now on. 1 to 6 plus 0, 1 to 9. I've already got a better weapon than the vibro torch. So the combat in this game, so far as I understand it, is fairly straightforward. D20 attack. If you're familiar with role-playing games of this style at all, it should be really very simple. Let's see if the mining lasers better odds. So 1 to 9 plus 0. I'll take 1 to 8 with the plus 3 to hit any day over the 1 to 9 with plus 0 to hit. When me and my brother were playing Knights of the Old Republic 1 growing up, we had the hardest time of it because we had no idea what the game style was. We had no idea how to really understand the game or how to play it. So we didn't understand anything about chance to hit or the damage done or how to optimize anything. We just kind of threw caution to the wind and did what looked cool at the time. We basically relied on force lightning to get us through every single encounter. And that doesn't work after a certain point. Not if you don't know what you're doing. Obviously, since then, I've gotten a little better at the game. So, moments like that right there where I used security on the security locker instead of breaking it open moments like that are reasons why I invest a lot of points in skills and not necessarily combat. Because I can handle combat once... combat in this game is really not hard, and outside of a couple boss fights that are tricky, at a certain point they all become pushovers. But the skills will come in handy throughout the entire game.
Is this thing on? Alright, all hands, especially you, KOTOR. Listen up, because I'm not gonna say this again. The next one of you Juma heads to try and smuggle a blaster, or so help me, any sort of military-grade frag weapons into my facility is gonna take a long walk out the airlock. Why? Because in case you forgot, Paragian fuel explodes at high temperatures. That's what blasted that chunk out of Paragus II and created this asteroid field. So if I catch any of you with anything other than sonic charges or mining lasers, I'll burn you and your contract. Security out.
Charming.
And according to one of the miners, it was because one of the sonic charges went off prematurely. And like before, it was one set by a mining droid. The three idiots were grouped so close to the charge, it might as well have been a grenade going off. The blast turned their bones to dust. The blast wrecked the internal components of the droid that set the charge, though, so we can't even dissect it to see what happened. I don't like what's going on here. Ever since that Jedi showed up, things are getting worse. It's not just KOTOR and his miners, or the fights, but now the droids are acting crazy. If we don't find what's causing this, or who, this facility's gonna be space dust by the time the next Telos freighter arrives.
So a lot of these logs are really good for world building and trying to figure out what happened. This first area in particular is one big mystery. It's kind of like a horror game in a sense. You have all these mindless robots trying to kill you, and that's all in the facility. All the organic life is dead, for the most part. And the whole idea is that you don't know what's hunting you or why. You just know that they have an interest in you, and that interest has proven lethal to a lot of people. And these logs add a lot of details as to what's been doing it or how, and if you played KOTOR 1 at a certain point, you may come to a conclusion that of who is doing this.
So, you're in maintenance. Then maybe you can tell me what's going on with these droids.
Sir, I don't know. It's like their behavior cores are undergoing binary decay, but I can't find the source. This shouldn't be happening.
Well, that's reassuring. It isn't happening. So the next time we nearly have a breach in the ventilation tunnels, I could just close my eyes and pretend it's my imagination. You better give me some answers. I want to know the damage these droids can do if they start mining us instead of asteroid rock.
Sir, these droids aren't combat models. Their mining lasers are weaker and less accurate than blasters. I doubt those droids could even hit one of us.
Are you blind? What about the miners in Medbay? It's sabotage, and it started right after the commander said we weren't going to sell the Jedi to the exchange. So I want you to find out how these droids are being sabotaged. That'll tell me who's trying to clear a path to get that Jedi off the facility, and stop him. In the meantime, make sure the security's armed with all the ion and sonic charges you can find. If those droids start coming after me, I'm gonna need more than low-grade mining lasers to take them down. Clear?
Yes, sir. Maintenance control out.
Idiot. I installed an override switch to shut down any droids on this level, just in case someone locked me out of the administration console. As added insurance, I tied the override switch into the circuit to the holding cell door. It'll make sure it can only be opened if all droids in the level are shut down. I doubt KOTOR or any of his men have the skill to pull off something like this, but I'm not taking any chances while we're sitting in the middle of this asteroid minefield. Whoever's responsible won't be able to have the droids rescue him after I lock him up. Nothing will cut through that door. He'll be trapped. I secured
That's
the
going to come
stealth
very
field
handy in a couple
generator
minutes.
inside one of the footlockers in the security storage room.
This less so.
If I have the specs right, the interface field should be effective against the droid's sensors. All I need to do is equip the belt and some skill with stealth in order to use it. As long as I don't get too close to the droids, they shouldn't detect me. If any more droids start malfunctioning, the belt should buy me enough time to get to the override switch I set up in the communications blister console. I'd rather shut them down than destroy them. I want to find out how these droids are being sabotaged. Maybe even turn them against whoever's sabotaging them.
Okay, camera controls. Is there anything I can learn from this? Well, there's the fact that this guy's in that room. Actually, I really don't think there's anything to be learned from the cameras. No, so I'm just going to log out. Move on.
Be careful. There is much energy in the room beyond, yet it stems from nothing that lives.
Kreia.
Can
What?
you not sense them? Reach out. Cast aside your sight. Cast aside what you see, and instead reach out with your perceptions. Ah, you can feel them. The droids you cannot perceive, but the small oscillations of energy, that you can feel, echoing outwards.
With Kreia's help, you have gained passive precognition power. When this power is triggered, you should save your game. That would be great if that power was ever actually triggered. I mean, outside of this moment right now. But this fight should be a pushover anyway. So when I was talking earlier about the what is it called, the attribute setup that I have for this character, one of the things I mentioned.
You hear it. It is faint, but it is there.
I feel strange, like the sedatives are
It is
wearing
the
off.
Force. You feel it has not been so long as for you to forget.
But it doesn't feel like it did. It feels like it's coming from across a great
Do
distance.
not turn away from it. Listen. Feel it echoing within you. Come. I shall guide you down the familiar paths. You will need it if we are to survive and escape this place.
Gaining experience will slowly reestablish your connection with the Force. Go to the level up screen to choose your Force abilities. Yep, I'll do that right after I waste this guy. Right. So what I was saying earlier was that I chose my high dexterity so that I would have a low chance to be hit. It increases my defense, which just makes me kind of slippery, basically. And again, with the blasters, it gives me a higher chance to hit them. You can kind of see that in this early level where I'm being hit very, very infrequently, but I'm hitting them with a pretty consistent rate. 5 to spend. Use persuade. Perfect. I don't have that much use for demolitions, but it'll be helpful for because a lot of the clothing items and armor items that you can wear can increase your skill in certain areas, but they will only do that if you have a base skill to start with. So having just one of each at a minimum is helpful for that. And I chose Force Valor right there because it increases my saving throws, which is helpful, but it also increases my attributes. So my chance to hit, my chance to hit increases, my chance to be hit decreases, the damage I do increases, my intelligence increases, which is good for when I'm about to go up to a console to hack something, or if I need to do, say, a demolitions thing. Again, the Force Valor will only affect it if I already have a base skill in that area. And it'll also be helpful for when I'm about to do this stealthy bit, even though I have very little stealth. One of the other reasons I like breaking into, or I shouldn't say breaking into, using security on these footlockers instead of breaking them open, is I think it gives you a little more experience that way. Okay, I have enough stealth to do this, plus the stealth field generator. This is a fairly tedious part, but it can have some tension to it, as long as I avoid the droids properly. Honestly, the stealth here is helpful, but it's not strictly speaking necessary. With the high dexterity rating I keep banging on about, I can just run across the area and just run straight to the switch and just hit it, and they won't be able to hit me. Or they'll hit me, but they won't do enough damage to really cause a problem for me. I'm gonna go around and collect parts, and I'll just show you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to show it for all of them, but I'm going to do it right now. So let's see, examine the unit's behavior core. Unit looks like some reason modifications have been made to the unit's vocabulator. These droids will no longer accept commands from any member of the mining facility except for one. The ID designation matches the maintenance officer for this facility. Check last received commands. It looks as if their mining protocols have been set to mine any organics and any non-authorized droids in this facility. If this is the case, then the mining droids have likely wiped out everyone and everything in this facility. So I can switch mining protocol to defend organics. The droid has now been switched to defend any organics in the facility. If someone chooses to attack you, this droid will attempt to protect you. And scavenge the droid for components. Scavenging the droid for components does not remove the fact that it's going to try and protect me.
Beyond this door, someone yet lives. Be mindful. His thoughts are difficult to read. But you have nothing to fear from this one, and he might yet prove useful.
And we're coming up on Atton, one of my other favorite characters. I've never done this before, but I wonder how long it'll hold.
Nice outfit. What, you miners change regulation uniform while I've been in here?
Care to explain why you're locked up?
Security claimed I violated some trumped-up regulation or another. Take it up with them if you want. But they stopped listening to me shortly before they stopped feeding me. Now that's criminal.
So you're not a miner? Who are you then?
Atton Rand. Excuse me if I don't shake hands. The field only causes mild electrical burns.
This facility's deserted. What happened?
You mean before or after that Jedi showed up? Either way, it's a real short story. You see, this Jedi shows up, and you know what that means. Where there's one Jedi, the Republic will soon be crawling up your ion engine in no time. But the story gets better. See, some of the miners get it into their ferrocrete skulls that since the Jedi's unconscious, they can collect the bounty the exchange has posted for live Jedi. Well, what passes for the law here didn't like that idea. So the two groups started fighting.
Then there was some big explosion, and then I was sitting here for a long time, waiting for some half-naked miner to show up and ask a bunch of questions.
There's a bounty on captured Jedi?
Why?
Why?
Don't know much about it. Maybe the exchange wants one as a trophy, or somebody's got something against Jedi and is looking to collect. Not many Jedi left. Wouldn't surprise me if the bounty's pretty high.
How many Jedi left? What happened to
The
them?
ones that weren't killed in the Jedi Civil War ended up switching off the lightsabers long ago. Word is there's not even a Jedi Council anymore, but who knows?
I heard rumors of a war, but a war between Jedi?
Yeah, Revan, Malak, and the Jedi that went to join them in the Mandalorian Wars. They turned against the other Jedi and had a scrap that almost laid waste to the galaxy. Where have you been?
I've been away since the Mandalorian Wars.
Well, I wasn't there, but like all Sith, Revan and Malak turned on each other. After they turned on the Jedi, of course.
I was led to believe that Revan saved the Jedi and the Republic.
I guess. There's rumors all over space about it. All I heard was Revan returned to pay Malak back for trying to kill her in the first place. You know women.
How long have you been in that cage? Revan was a man, not a woman.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I just hoped Revan was a woman.
I had some more questions for you.
Look, no offense or anything, but your weird half-naked interrogation isn't my idea. Hey, wait a minute. You're that Jedi the miners were talking about. Where is everybody?
I don't know. This facility seems abandoned.
The miners can't all be gone. But if they are... Look, hey, let me out and I can help you. I can. I've gotten out of trouble countless times.
Tell me your plan, and we can go from there.
This facility isn't a military installation, which means we may have a chance. You shut down this cell security field, and I can reroute the emergency system so we can get to the hangars. We grab a ship, and then we fly out of here.
One thing first. The patients in the medical bay were killed with a lethal dose of sedatives. Know anything about that?
Huh? What are you talking about?
Nothing. Never mind. Just checking.
So you done interrogating me, or are we gonna work together and try to get out of this mess?
I trust you, and if we work together, we may be able to get out of this mess.
Great. Now to business. Let's get to the command console.
Let's go.
Alright, here we are. Now this console is set on automatic hail. You may have heard it when you came in. The asteroid drift charts are constantly being updated, so it sends out a transmission to incoming vessels so they don't get crushed into space dust. The hail warns them to keep their distance until orbital drift charts are transmitted, and then provides docking instructions to incoming ships, usually freighters. Thing is, you can bounce that same transmission back to the comm here, and suddenly you've got access to the communication system from the inside. Pure Pazak. The console's ours. Now, all we need to do is reactivate the turbo lifts, cancel the emergency lockdown, and... Hey!
What's wrong?
This system's been severed from the main hub, after it was locked down from remote. You can't even reroute the system, it's been cut clean.
That wouldn't be standard procedure in an emergency lockdown.
No. Someone tried to lock down this whole level tight, and leave us here. Trapped.
Is there anything else we can do with this console?
I doubt it. All we have is communications back. For all the good trying to shout in a vacuum will do us.
Can we contact the miners?
We could try. But if the miners were trying to trap you up here and probably kill you, why not call them and chat? I don't think a friendly call is going to wake them up.
Let's see if we can try and reach someone on the comm.
Be my guest. Not much else we can do. The comm's all yours.
And that is where I'm going to leave off for the day. Yeah, this is about where I expected to do it. We meet Atton, we get to the next stage. The next part we're going to jump into... Well, I'll leave that for next month. Thank you all for watching.